First off, I want to say good. First, I want to say good afternoon, everybody. By show of hands, how many people here have watched pro wrestling before? Come on.
Back in the day.
Now, by show of hands, those of you who have watched pro wrestling before, how many of you think it's fake? See, the most common misconceptions about pro wrestling is that it's fake. All the wrestlers use steroids, as well as the violence in the ring often contributes to violence outside the ring amongst the viewers. Now, the common misconceptions about pro wrestling are often due to the lack of knowledge about pro wrestling. I'm going to pass this around. This has a bunch of pictures that I'm going to highlight, pretty much give you a, mental picture about everything I'm going to talk about. Now, the first page on it is actually the cover for the movie The Wrestler, which actually just came out this past year. And it actually just depicts and just shows what pro wrestling is all about, what everybody goes through, all the just the gruelingness and behind the scenes action that nobody sees when they watch pro wrestling, but everything behind it. One of the misconceptions of pro wrestling is the fakeness, the punching, the action that everybody sees inside the ring. And I actually have an excerpt right here from Men's Fitness, his actual quote from Hulk Hogan, who was actually on the second page of that, quoting, "Wrestling isn't fate, it's predetermined. So what? But let's be real clear about something. The matches may be predetermined. We may not be in there trying to kill each other for real. In fact, the main goal is to come out of that arena just as we went in, because you have to wrestle again the next night and the next. But the blood, the broken bones, the brutal injuries that happen in that ring, those, my brother, are as real as it gets." Now, the pictures of Hulk Hogan on the second page show him from the start of his early career as to him now, which he's the vice president / chairman of TNA, which is the second largest pro wrestling organization in the world. Now, the first picture of him in there depicts him flexing and everything, and obviously Hulk Hogan is one of those guys who's somewhat of a role model to those growing up, but he is one of those who kind of sold out in the sense that he took steroids and everything. Now, U.S. Representative Henry Waxman sent a letter to the Director of President's Office of National Drug Control Policy, John Walsh, regarding the failure of pro wrestling organizations to do mandatory steroid tests, as well as due to that, the steroid testing in pro wrestling wasn't until 2007 when a guy by the name of Chris Benoit was committed suicide, as well as murdered his wife and his younger son. And he's on the third page, this is a picture of him, and he actually had taken 10 times more than the level of testosterone necessary in your body. Now, I actually have quotes here from a guy that most people consider taking steroids due to his build, the guy by the name of John Cena, who's featured on the cover of Men's Fitness and stuff like that, that steroids and painkillers aren't a professional choice, but a lifestyle. I've learned to play in pain. It's a serious enough injury. I take time off. Now, Cena is 26 years old. He's 6'1", about 240. And a lot of people just don't understand the concept that, eating the proper foods and exercising, you can get big and explore your body's ultimate mass that you're supposed to get. A lot of people, because of guys like Hulk Hogan and Dave Bautista who take steroids, give somewhat of a negative light on those who actually work hard and pay the ultimate price without having to get that extra incentive. Now, Vince McMahon, the chairman and owner of WWE, is who's quoted, requires his wrestlers that they're in shape, not the size of monsters. Now, some may not even believe that due to the fact that when you turn on the channel, you just see these massive guys. They're just all bombarding into each other, and of course the fake punches, and you just want nothing to do with it. Now, he also was quoted, the size of the monsters that he was depicting are wrestlers in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. That he's not looking for bodybuilders. Now, I referred to a guy named Daniel Bryan, who's the picture below John Cena, who is actually somewhat of WWE's new youth movement in the sense that WWE is more G-rated now. Pro wrestling is not what you probably saw it back in the day. Now, TNA is a different organization to where the fact that the way they depict in their shows, they show blood, they show the violence. Nowadays, WWE does not show blood unless it's a pay-per-view. They require mandatory drug testing. And actually, the front runner for the mandatory drug testing was TNA. November 4th, 2004, they began offering medical coverage. They considered mandatory drug testing as well as offering dental coverage. Now, it's kind of ironic that the guy that's controlling the company now himself used to take steroids, Hulk Hogan. Now, the last misconception, is just the violence that, you see inside the ring that often carries out. Now, I have a quote here from Brown University reports that states a connection between watching wrestling and being the offender and victim in date fighting, that girls actually have a bigger rate of starting fights and fighting in school, which I find that hard to believe because growing up, me and my younger brothers and all my friends, we watch wrestling, and although WWE disclaimers such as the one depicted on page 3 flashed before saying, please don't try this at home, we're going to try this at home. Common misconceptions: wrestling's fake, all wrestlers take steroids, and they contribute to violence amongst viewers. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Thank you guys for your day.